Morning, Facebook.
Good morning, Facebook. Good morning. Good morning. Wake up, everybody. Come and hang out.
Morning.
Come and hang out with Coach Sheryl and I for a wonderful discussion. Crystal Clear, part 3.
Grand Rising.
Yes, it's going to be a great conversation. It's going to be so great. I got a special guest with me, Uncle Chopper. He's hanging out with me for a few days. So he wants to come and help teach the class. So this is not going to be a rough morning.
No, he didn't.
Oh, Brandon. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Looking forward to helping you crystal clear.
Yes, and use these tools for transformation.
Yes.
See, Rachel is coming to the space. Marie is here. Good morning, everyone. Tracy.
Blessings. Peace and blessing, beautiful family. So
Great.
glad y'all got a double dynamic folks here today.
Okay.
Yes,
Grand
we are
Rising.
looking forward.
Rising.
It's going to be a great conversation.
Greetings, Sister Tracy Ann, Sister Gina, Marie, Rachel, Cheryl, Teresa. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Grand Rising.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Go ahead and send out those last minute reminders. Let them know Coach Cheryl and Reverend B were in the space. We're talking about getting crystal clear and using crystals as tools of transformation. Today will be very, very informative, so they don't want to miss this one. We're going to do right brain and left brain stuff today.
For sure.
Space.
Peace and blessings.
Please welcome to welcome.
Peace and blessings.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Have your crystal questions ready today. All your questions about gemstones, minerals, rocks, and transformation.
Yes.
Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke. It's time to get up. Stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke. It's time to get up. We're healing, we're dealing, we're growing. Together, together, releasing. We're teaching, we're moving. Together, together, we're learning, discerning. We're striving. Together, together, we're leading, connecting, transforming. Together, together.
Good morning, family. Thank you for taking the time out just to come and hang out with Coach Sheryl and I. We're in for a interesting conversation this morning. I realized I thought this was part 2, but actually this is part 3, because on our last session, Coach Shawnee and I, we had flung together an impromptu part 2. So here we are for part 3 of crystal clear, using crystals as a tool of transformation. And let's go ahead and bring up our quick slide so we can just do a quick recap. So in our first session, we talked about crystals as a tool of self-examination and how the crystals are really a reflection of ourselves. They have different facets, which speaks to the different parts of ourselves. And so in this particular session, talking about using crystals as a tool for transformation, looking at, based off of the concept that the crystal is a reflection of ourselves, that means that the crystal can be used as a tool to help transform those facets of ourselves. It can be used from transformation, whether it's physical transformation, emotional transformation, financial transformation, mental transformation. If you want to transform the energy in your home, these crystals, they can aid you. Now, this is really the last point, but I want to start it at the beginning. The crystals don't have no magic power in them that they'll do something for you that you don't want done. Let's just be very clear about that. They're not going to come down and just like start snapping their etheric fingers and stuff is going to start happening for you. Transformation at the end of the day, it's really up to you, whether you want to transform, whether in whatever area of your life that you want to. But in this particular session, we want to look at what are some of the different tools that we can use. And basically, I want to share with you, I shared with it the last time, but just a reminder, crystals work because of this concept, is that crystals are living beings with consciousness. Now, they don't have a willpower, so that means crystals will literally just do whatever it is that you instruct them to do. But they are living beings with a consciousness. And so when you instruct your crystals to absorb negative energy, it will do just that. It will absorb negative energy. And then it will just keep absorbing it until you instruct the crystal to stop absorbing the negative energy. So these are some of the ways in which crystals have that consciousness, and we're able to work with them. They are seeds that have been planted on the earth. Depending on your orientation, your school of thought or belief, there is the belief that ancient beings from the time of Atlantis and even before then planted these seeds into the earth that have keys and information and all sorts of goodies for humanity to use. And so one belief is that crystals are actually seeds that have been planted by the gods and the higher beings for humanity. Again, like I said, crystals they don't have a will of their own, but they're designed as a tool to help us. They amplify the intentions that we place to them, and that's based off of the energy. So energy follows thought, and if the crystal is a generator, it's going to amplify the thought that you think. So without further ado, I want to kick it over to Coach Sheryl, and she's going to take us down the very informative session of how crystals are formed and all that good stuff.
Grand Rising, Woo family, Woo Nation. Thank you for being here with us on this day. We're going to just dive into crystals a little bit deeper, a little bit just more. So bring your questions and make sure you have your questions ready to ask about whatever you've always wanted to know. We're not going to say we're the experts, but we're going to share everything that we know and everything that we've even done a little bit more research on for you, okay? So first of all, you may want to know where they come from? What are they, right? Have you ever been, when you were a child, been outside playing and you pick up, been in nature and you pick up a rock and it feels so smooth and nice, right? And it's very comforting to just massage that rock, right? So crystals kind of are rocks, but they're rocks that have intention. They have special gifts that they each can be supported in. As Brother Brandon said, that they don't do anything without you having an intention for them, but they each do also carry a special gift that they're able to focus on. So how are they formed, right? How are they formed? They come out of the earth. Basically, they grow in the earth. There's three main types of crystals that grow in the earth, right? There's igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic, rocks, right? And so those are nice, beautiful science words. But igneous means that it's basically a cooled liquid that forms into a rock that comes out of an eruption, like a volcano, right? And then it begins to become extrusive. I hope I'm saying the word right. I think it's extrusive, means that it pokes out and it creates like a formation like a tower or this kind of a point, right? And I'm going to show you a video that says a whole lot more about it, better than I can, but I just wanted you to know that we are very present to that. There are 3 different types that crystals form from that come out of the earth, and that crystals are minerals, right? So you might find yourself very attracted to crystals and not know why. They're minerals. And oftentimes, if we're attracted to particular crystals, we're probably not having those minerals in our body. We're not eating that mineral. We're not getting enough of that mineral in our life. And so that's one of the reasons why we attract something external, because the body knows everything that you need and it knows how to get it. It knows how to take it from somewhere else. So even if you're holding the crystal, you're getting the benefit of the minerals, okay? So crystals are minerals, and why? And they're different colors, they're different shapes, and they're different formations, and what they get to be made has to do with the different elements that are exposed in the process, right? And when I say elements, I'm talking about, remember in science, in school, the periodic table of elements. So I'm talking about those elements that you would be exposed to in the process of the crystal forming. And that's what helps to make them into different colors, and different stones. So I'm going to play a little video that can give you a little bit more science, the science of it. So Chantel, if you would start with our first one, thank you.
Deep beneath the geysers and hot springs of Yellowstone caldera lies a magma chamber, produced by a hotspot in the Earth's mantle. As the magma moves towards the Earth's surface, it crystallizes to form young, hot, igneous rocks. The heat from these rocks drives groundwater towards the surface. As the water cools, ions precipitate out as mineral crystals, including quartz crystals from silicon and oxygen, feldspar from potassium, aluminum, silicon, and oxygen, galena from lead and sulfur. Many of these crystals have signature shapes. Take this cascade of pointed quartz, or this pile of galena cubes. But what causes them to grow into these shapes again and again? Part of the answer lies in their atoms. Every crystal's atoms are arranged in a highly organized, repeating pattern. This pattern is the defining feature of a crystal and isn't restricted to minerals.
So basically that is the scientific breakdown to give you an idea of what it sort of looks like for a crystal to be formed. And they can be formed in amazing different shapes. I know I have this beautiful crystal behind me that you can see that's a amethyst. It's actually amethyst mixed with citrine. It's called ametrine, right? And that's formed naturally in nature. But they can also be formed into unusual little balls like this one that to me looks like a cross between the globe and the coronavirus. But it's not, it's neither. It's actually, it's actually a aragonite, a brown aragonite, and it's really quite beautiful. So they can be formed in many different shapes. And I love using the raw crystals, as this is how they come naturally, as well as the polished and the shaped and formed crystals. So yeah, we're going to be showing you crystals throughout, but just to kind of give you an idea. But there are also other types of crystals, right, that are not formed in the earth, right? And they're crystals that have come through as say meteors were breaking through into this atmosphere, and something would break off from the meteor, or it would shatter as it's coming into the earth and break into a lot of different particles and then be left in the earth for a long period of time. And then when it's found, it has particular energy that it gives off, right? And I'm not talking about radiation. I'm talking about the energy the same way that the crystals give off energy, because it's also from Earth. It came from outer space, but it came from down to the Earth. And so it being implanted into the Earth has its impact. Also, it being coming from wherever it came from, whatever planet out or whatever meteorite or whatever it came from in the universe, it also has an energy. And so there are crystals such as Libyan desert glass, and it's a really clear looking crystal. That is one of those. There is one that's really well known on the internet, especially on TikTok, Moldavite. And it's a green crystal that has like a clear color through it. I don't have mine close by, but maybe Brandon has his and he'll show it. But so those are some of the stones that are formed from out of space. Yeah, there you go. There's the Moldavite. Yeah, that's one that you just really want to be very intentional about when you're using it. And maybe we'll say more about it. Brandon can share about. Whoa, just seeing that, Brandon, I got a ping in my head already. So yeah, crystals, some people may think, and this is going off a little bit, but some people may think that you can only get energy from a crystal when you touch it, but that's absolutely not true, especially if you're sensitive and you're empathic or you're tuned in spiritually. You're going to be able to get the energy from the crystal with someone else carrying it sometimes. You're going to be able to get it from looking at it. You're going to be able to get it from thinking about it. So there's just so many ways that crystals are giving their energy. They're here to support us, and they're here to help us. And I have a wonderful story about that. But I also wanted to break down some of the other crystals that are available or that are in the world, right? Not only are there crystals that are formed from out of space material, but there are crystals that are formed that come from under the sea, that are ancient fossilized creatures from ancient times, that when you find their remains, they have an energy, because that's, one of the ones that's my favorite, and I'll show it a little later. That's because it's very weird. It's dinosaur poo. You wouldn't think that that's a crystal, but there's actually energy emanating from dinosaur excrement that has been uncovered. You got to think about what kind of fruits and vegetation and things were they eating, and what kind of energy did that give off back in ancient times, back in prehistoric times. And so you get to actually get a sense of that and feel of that when you hold the dinosaur poo. It has another name, but I love calling it that because it's fun. But so it's just, there's so many different forms in which crystals come in. Some of the underwater stones would be, some of the underwater fossils or things that you may find would be like a shark's tooth. The old shark's tooth, not the sharks of today, and they're not like the ones that are not taken with respect to the creature, to the shark, but the ones that are found in the ocean, that are found over time. And a shark's tooth is one, a mosasaurus tooth is another one, a sand dollar. I should have brought that out. I have one, a beautiful sand dollar crystal. And they all have and give off a particular frequency and vibration. And they all are here to support you. No different than that rock that you would have picked up as a child to just massage, but higher vibrations and higher frequencies. Crystals are also dinosaur bones. And how they get into the sea is that they would be washed out from the mountains or the volcanoes or wherever they're found. They get washed into the sea and they get buried, and they are there for years and years and, long periods of time, and then uncovered. Okay. And then I wanted to take a little break and show you another video with a crystal being excavated. All right. So this is a crystal this is how it's actually done. This is how they're mined. And this is in Brazil.
Really amazing. And just the production that comes out of this mine, you can easily see it's one of the most prolific tourmaline and gemstone mines in the world. The excitement really mounted, especially as we started to descend the ladders down into the mine. we were following Beatrice, one of the mine owners.
We tried to keep up with Beatrice as we were descending down into the mine and coming back up, but she was in too good of a shape for us. We navigated through a number of tunnels where the mining was going on. Some of these tunnels reached 500 meters in length, and this pegmatite would reach 32 meters in width. There were tourmaline crystals all throughout the walls of these tunnels. Then we came to areas where the mining was actually taking place. They would create the tunnels by blasting, but the mining was all done by hand tools, digging into the soft pegmatite to remove the tourmaline crystals. All of their mining was done by hand so as not to damage the tourmaline crystals, constantly using pickaxes to dig away at the pegmatite and get to the crystals of tourmaline. Or sometimes also they would find crystals of tourmaline that were embedded in quartz. Look at this miner that was digging away at this large quartz crystal that had tourmaline crystals associated with it also, using water to wash away the dirt and get better visibility of what they were digging out of the wall of this mine. Now the final extraction is going to be breaking it away from the wall with the pick and removing it by hand, making sure not to damage any of the crystals. Washing it with water here, and take a look at that long green tourmaline crystal right there in the quartz.
So that is one of the most known ways to get a crystal, is by actually mining it. And it's as you can see, it's a deep process. It's a lengthy process, and it's a process that can be dangerous for those that are mining. Not that far different from diamonds, but we hope if you're wanting to know about whether it's sustainable, whether they're destroying the earth or things like that, then you want to make sure that you're getting your crystals from a source that is doing its best to be sustainable, right? And that it's actually taking from where there's excess and it's doing what it can to put back into the earth, right? So that's something to be aware of when you're purchasing your crystals. When you're purchasing your crystals, you also want to be aware of the fact that there are different types of crystals that are not mined and that are not found under the sea, as I mentioned, and that are not from out of space, but they are made in a lab or they're altered in a lab, right? And when I say, like, my little cousin, who's about 9 years old, came one time and said to me, "Cousin, we made crystals today in school." And I was really fascinated and tickled by that, because they took that same elements and contents and created crystals. But are those crystals, do they have the same energy? Do they have the same impact? Can they be used in the same way as these crystals? I personally would say no. Because they haven't been under the pressure that it takes. Think of what it takes to create a diamond. Think of the pressure, think of the years, think of the time that it takes for a diamond to be created. So these crystals are, they're crystals, but I wouldn't say that they have the same ability to hold energy or to exude energy as do the ones that have been in the earth or come from under the sea. But some lab treated crystals, in the lab, they'll take quartz, for example, and they'll take, say, gold or titanium, and they'll add that to the quartz in a lab in a process. I wanted to show you the one that I know I have. Yeah, here we go. And they create what they call something called aura quartz, right? So it starts out, even though this is not quartz, this is selenite, just to give you an idea. This is a different type of a selenite, right? It's really clear, but it starts out clear like this, and then they add gold to it, and they process it in the lab, and then it comes out in different colors. So you'll have quartz, but it's quartz at the base, but it has these different colors. They've either added titanium, they've added gold, and it creates a different color, and it also alters the energy, and it doesn't make it less impactful because gold is a natural element as well, right? So it makes it's still very potent, and it has a different energy. It shifts the energy, and gold could have been present in its formation, but it wasn't. So they just kind of added it in, and it still has an impact. So there are those kind of crystals like aura quartz and blue gold stone, and let me see, Brandy, can you think of another one?
Not in particular, but I was going to say something about the synthetic stone versus the genuine stones.
Yes, jump in.
When you look at the energy of the stones, especially the authentic stones that are mined from the earth, when you look at it energetically, they're actually like little sparks of light within it, and it's those sparks of light are the consciousness of the stones. So what happens when we have the synthetic stones, or this, like for example, the crystals that students may make in science classes, when you look at it, because there's some elements of like gypsum in there, the stones do have a bit of consciousness, but it does, like you said, it doesn't have the energy to be able to sustain it. So I wouldn't recommend using synthetic crystals for like healing and things like that. They're good for like decorations. So I think it's important that when you're sourcing your crystals, to know whether it's authentic, whether it's synthetic, because you could be bringing a synthetic energy into your aura, or into your, into your chakras, or whatever the case is. That's why it's very important to know where you're getting your stones from, and the quality of the stones.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And so just to be clear, aura quartz, like what I showed you, it starts out with a clear quartz. It's placed into a vacuum. That's what they do to change it, to alter it, at 1600 degrees Fahrenheit. And then it's a vaporized metal, such as gold, gets pushed through the chamber, and it sticks onto it. So it's not, you can't peel it off, you can't scratch it off, it doesn't come off, right? It actually becomes a part of it. And it creates a light rainbow color when they mix it, say if it's platinum. And the soft blue color is this one, or aqua aura quartz is what this one is called. And different colors based upon different minerals that they add to it. And like I said, blue gold stone, fordite, those are actually lab created from the scratch, like the way that was created by the child in school. And so those are like the ones that Brenda's talking about, won't have the same capacity. So those are how crystals are formed. Those are how crystals are mined. And those are how crystals, the difference between crystals that are fake and or formed or man-made crystals versus crystals formed in the earth. Are there any questions so far? I would love to bring in another voice, and then bring it back to Brandon, and he has a poll for us. Or did you want to do the poll first, Brandon?
You're muted, Brandon.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, let's have the questions, and then we could go to the poll.
Okay.
I have a question. So when it doesn't seem like you can tell that a crystal is man-made unless you know some of the history of how it's made, right? So I wouldn't, if I didn't know, is there a way to look at the crystal and say, oh yeah, because it has this, or because it's not doing this, I know that this is man-made?
So there's a few ways. Some crystals you can tell just by looking at them. So like moldavite in particular, when you look at moldavite in its original state, it's kind of like a dullish greenish color, if you could see that. I was at a place not too far from where I live at, on Broadway in like Flushing, and a guy was selling crystals, and he's like, yeah man, I got this moldavite. He had a like this card, and it was in an envelope sealed up, showing that the crystal was sourced from some mine. It was a card of authenticity. But when you looked at the moldavite, it literally just looked like a piece of glass that had been sanded down. And so sometimes, especially with moldavite, that's a big one where people will try and pass off, fake glass, and claim it to be moldavite. So I think knowing I guess where the stones are sourced from, because there are certain stones that you can't source from anywhere else in the world. Like with Moldavite, it specifically comes from like over in Turkey and the place is called Moldova or something like that. So like in what's it with quartz crystals, like there are certain regions where quartz naturally grow. So like the quartz that comes out of Brazil, out of the what's that, like the Afghanistan region, the Libyan desert, a lot of those places where your source is, yeah, Egypt, where the stones are sourced from there. And you can ask those questions of when you're buying your crystals, where were these stones sourced from and how were they sourced? If the person that you're purchasing the crystals can't give you that information, I wouldn't recommend purchasing that crystal from that individual.
Ashe, I agree. I agree. Your person should be able to have some knowledge about where the crystals are sourced, preferably even if they know the name of the mine that it comes from. That way you can know if the mine is if it's sustainably maintained or not. Because some mines that were producing crystals forever, and then they ran out, or they decided to close the mine because they were taking too much from the earth. So it's important to know these type of things and to check with the person who's providing for you. So you won't be able to do that if you're buying crystals off TikTok. No disrespect to TikTok and all these other different ways in which you can randomly get crystals. And I would say that there are some legitimate stones that are coming out of these places, but you really have to be knowledgeable. You have to know, and you have to gauge your energy. Some people will use a pendulum to determine what energy, if there's anything coming off of it. Some people will hold it and see if there's any vibration coming off of it. Some people will pray and hear and see what the Most High tells them about it. So you have to tune in the way that is your way to find out whether you're feeling anything, or whether this one is for you or not, or whether it's authentic or not. So those are some of the things that are really important in purchasing crystals. And crystals are, I just want to say, once you get started, it's like there is an addiction. So you have to be judicious and have to be intentional. That's one of the words that I be very intentional with when you're buying. Have an intention of what you want to use the stone for, and then go and seek out the stone. Or the stone will seek you out, because sometimes that's what happens as well. So that way you're not like, the person who's selling is not just kind of selling you something based upon its being popular, or they think everybody wants this or whatever, or they need to sell it for whatever reason. So definitely tune into the stone, touch it, feel it. And if you can't touch it because it's virtual, then look at it and see what you feel when you're looking at it. Like I said, Brandon brought out the Moldavite, and I already got, like, my head started just vibrating. So, you will know if it's for you or if it's not for you. And truthfully, trust your intuition. Trust your intuition. It's real. It's really, we are gifted with everything we need, and our bodies and our spirits know everything that we need to attract to us. So trust that the Most High is going to let you know what you need. Trust that you're going to know what stone is real. Trust that. That's really important. So that's kind of what I wanted to share about, the history. And I saw another hand up.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah, Sheryl, this is Rachel.
Hey, Sister Rachel, how are you?
I'm well, how are you? So my
Great.
question is, let's say the stone comes from a great source, right? A credible source. However, the miner, right? The one that's mining and getting these stones are not in good spirit. Like, you get what I mean? Does that change the energy of the stone?
Yes, that's actually what we're getting ready to talk about.
Oh, wow. Okay.
you peeping in on the slides. No, but that's a very important thing. But then what the point that you're also bringing up, it goes deeper than just beyond the crystals that we hold. So I have locks. I had a lady install some lock jewelry as crystals in them, but I had to clean her energy before she touched my hair, because this is what we call psychic impression. And so what happens is that the energy transfers from, or psychic impregnation. When you touch a crystal, especially crystal, because crystal doesn't have the willpower to say, no, I don't want your bad energy. The crystal just absorbs it, or it will magnify it. So when that mind, it comes from a great source, but the miner, he got into the miner got into an argument with their spouse in the morning, boss pissed them off. They fell down the ladder going down the steps, so they're having a bad morning, and now they're going to go and pick up this crystal. Now the crystal is not only touching the miner's hands, it's going from the miner to the cutter. They got to process it. Let's say the processor had a bad day, and then it's going to finally arrive at the place that's going to sell you the crystal. And then let's say the merchant had a bad day. You've got now a whole bunch of energy that's been combined. And so we're going to talk about how to clean your crystals, and things like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very important to know, and know that I love the way you broke it down, Brandon, that it comes from a long way. Not to mention if you're getting stuff mailed to you, the many postal hands that handle it, the many scans that it goes through radiation wise and all of that. So there's a lot of hands that are touching your stone, and bear in mind that crystals are holders of energy. They're receptacles. So yeah, it's very urgent that you cleanse your crystal. Even if at first, when you first get it, sometimes I'll just sit over and just go, oh, just really like get my tone right and just ohm over it. If I don't have time to smoke cleanse it or to use oils or water, I'll just ohm it so I can just kind of feel, well, what's coming off of this now? What's the real energy coming off the stone? And that definitely helps. So prayer is very, very, very important. Talk to the Most High and ask that the crystal that you receive be used for your highest and greatest good. That's really, really important. A lot of people, they don't necessarily do that. They just grab and go. But you have to use the crystal in the way that it's intended to be used. You have to use it properly. You have to cleanse it. You have to clear it. You have to charge it. You have to speak to it and ask that it be used in the way that is for your greatest good. These are important aspects of working with crystals.
Absolutely.
Do we want to take any more hands?
Yeah,
Yes.
Sure.
this is Omena, you all, a divine rising. I just wanted to go back because Coach Sheryl, when you were talking about the realness of a crystal, I had a question, and both of you can either respond, but does that mean when a crystal is what they call, I think it's called like shined, or when it's like cleaned, does that
Polished.
mean polished? Does that mean it's not real?
Right. No, that has nothing. Okay, so polishing or tumbling is what it's also called. So this is, like I showed you, this is raw. This is a raw aquamarine, right? So and then this is a polished or tumbled numite, right? Which is one of the oldest crystals ever found in the world. But they both still give off very potent energy. So polishing or tumbling is kind of like shaping. It's just putting it into something that can refine the sharp edges. So it's not taking away any of the energy of the stone. It's actually sort of compressing it and making it even more potent in some ways. So it's up to you what type and what type you choose to use. I like to use both. I even actually have some that are both raw and polished. This one is raw, pink quartz, pink amethyst. This is the raw parts of it. And then the top part is polished. So yeah, that's still very, very potent, and that has nothing to do with the legitimacy or the realness of the stone at all.
Yeah, absolutely. There was I remember there's a point where some people would argue about especially in terms of like crystal healing, using polished stone versus raw stones. And I think it was just a matter of really the personal preference of that particular instructor and how he instructed his teachings, his students rather. One of my main healing crystals is a rose quartz. It's a Vogel wand, 18-sided. But then there are clear quartz ones. There's a laser wand that I'm going to get that's not polished at all. It's not cut. It's literally just let me pull out something similar to this. but it'd be just a regular clear quartz. And if I choose to get it cut, I could, but then it's the natural energy in the stone. So that wouldn't determine, the authenticity of it. I think really the biggest thing is finding out where it was sourced and how it was sourced. Because there's also a karma that comes along with how those crystals are sourced.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I wonder if you can clear that karma energy enough when you're clearing the stones. So that's really important. And thank you for asking that one. I think there's a couple more questions.
Yes, we have Teresa's hands raised.
Peace and blessing, family. I have been told that you shouldn't buy stones online, and I was just wondering, how true that is. I heard you just talking about it. So, is it safer rather to buy a stone, at a place? And like, what's the difference?
So my take is you can buy good stones online. And even now you can buy some decent stones in Amazon, but I wouldn't recommend that for a person who's new to it and who's just starting out. Try to buy from a person that's reputable, a store that you can go in. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend online buying of purchases. And if you did, there are wholesalers online for people who have businesses that are, or the people who are, say, for example, in India or in Afghanistan, there are lots of different sources, especially since COVID, and ways that you can get stones online that are completely wonderful, legitimate and amazing stones. But for the unknown, for the new person to it, I suggest not doing it, because you might buy something and think that it's legitimate. And as Brother Brandon said, somebody could have taken some cut glass and selling it to you, but it might be really pretty and great for decoration, but it doesn't have the same transformative energy, and it's not bringing any healing energy as well. So buying online is dicey. You're definitely taking a chance, and you have to know your source, and you have to do a lot of research. So
yeah.
But Brandon is a source of crystals, and I'm a source of crystals. So we got you covered. And although you're seeing us online, we are live, we are real, and you can actually
in the flesh.
meet us if you need to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One thing I would say about buying the crystals online, especially one of the things that's been very popular lately is like the Instagram live crystal shows, where people will sell crystals over Instagram. You comment on the crystal that you want. The thing about that, and truth be told, I learned the hard way, bought a crystal off of one of those shows because I was just like, oh yeah, this is perfect. I don't have to go to the store. It's convenient, like great. After I bought the crystal, I didn't think, well, where was the crystal being stored at? While after they purchased it in the home, didn't know the kind of energy around the home. So once I got the crystal, something just felt off in the house, like the energy wasn't right. And it was because I never even reached out to find out, because it was none of my business. I should have known better to use my higher guidance to say whether this crystal was, or even buying from this location, if it was ideal for me. There have been times where I've left the house with no intentions of going crystal shopping. I'm actually have a purpose to go somewhere, handle business, and come back home. And somehow I end up in a random store that I've never seen, and there's crystals over here, and I'm like, oh. And next thing you know, I'm buying crystals, but the energy is like Coach Sheryl said, that the energies and the crystals, they'll draw you to them sometimes when you don't even know that you're looking for the crystals or that you need the crystals.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the things about the online shopping with the TikTok and Instagram, no knock on those brand names, but it's addictive, because it's like an auction. You're seeing something, and the energy around the auction is you have an opportunity you see something you like, and everyone else likes it, and you have an opportunity to get it, but you also have an opportunity to lose it. And fear of loss motivates us more than desire. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's what's being used to drive you on those sales, right? And it's fun. I've done it. I've done it because I wanted to experience it, because I wanted to know, to be able to tell you legitimately, is it good? And there are some decent companies that that are shipping from, and they're from China. And you know, you will what I used to say, well, I don't really want no crystals from China. But what happens with China is it's one of the main sources that crystals get reformed, tumbled, and shaped in the world. So 90% of all crystals end up running through China, no matter what mine they came from. So even if your crystal was mined in Brazil, it most likely is going to go through China to become shaped into a tower or a spear or whatever it is. So don't judge and say, I don't want China, because I had to learn the hard way that everything I have has probably been through China. So, but in terms of the buying crystals online, yeah, it's just note that it is an addictive thing to do, and yeah, you could blow your whole budget on stones for the fear of loss, because it's like, I want that, and then so do other people, and the first person to bid on it or to go for it, or those crystal lucky scoops, those lucky scoops. Yeah, you better be careful with those, because a lot of those crystals that go into that polishing bowl where they're moving and spinning and everything, the energy of the crystal is radiating at you. There's so many things being utilized for that sale technique. The energy of the crystal, the energy of the sounds, because there's this little machine that's going, and if you're like me and you're tuned into like sounds and into ASMR, which is the stimuli that sounds give you as well, is very soothing and relaxing. And then you have the lady with the Chinese accent, hey, my honey, hey, my baby. And you have all these other people who are wanting what you want. And then they actually scoop up a scoop and they pull out stones that came out of it. And they look really pretty and they're really nice. And then when they come to you, first of all, it takes anywhere from 10 days to a month for it to come to you. And when it comes to you, some of them are damaged. Some of them are scratched up, scarred up. Some of them are broken. And then you got to deal with all of that. And then they may even be good crystals, legitimate stones, but it's just a lot. It's just a lot. So be mindful of getting caught in that swirl, because there's a lot of things. Oh, I forgot to say, the sound of the ASMR stimuli, the vibe of the crystal, someone calling you in a loving way, as well as the fact that the crystal is being placed on a video, right? I mean, I want to say a computer. And so the computer is, guess what? A quartz crystal. So it's also amplifying the energy. The energy is being amplified. And like when you get that stone, you're like, wait, when I saw it, I felt like this. I don't really feel it like that when I'm holding it in my hand. Then you know you were got. You were got by all of those different elements being in play to support you to buy. So just be mindful, be aware, and don't be ignorant to it. If that's what works for you, that's fine. Just be mindful and give yourself a budget and stick within it and stay with it. But like I said, Brandon is here, myself is here. And if we're not in your area, I'm sure we can recommend sources for you in other areas.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, we have some questions in the chat, but Takia, you had your hand up. Did you still have a question? Yes, I did. I wanted to know, like she just answered it, could you recommend crystal shops in New York City to go to that they know already is going to be authentic?
Sure. My suggestion is, so that we don't create a commercial here for all these other shops, reach out to myself and Brandon. Reach out to us. Our contact information is almost 8 o'clock. Will be dropped in the chat, and you can reach out and we'll give you what we suggest.
Okay, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right. So Quasi said, if we didn't mine so many precious metals or stones, would they just be lying around the ground in abundance? Gold, for example, if it's being stored away in man-made structures, could it be that the earth is missing a key structure to its foundation?
You know, you hit something there, Quasi. I think about that type of thing often when I think about utilizing crystals, utilizing diamonds, gold, and the things that we like to extract from the earth and wear. But then I also say, we're not leaving the earth. We're still here. So we are also of earth, right? We are made of the stuff of stars, but we are also made of the stuff of the earth. So we are also part of that thing still being on the earth. So we're not taking it and like throwing it out to Pluto or something like that. So it's still on the earth, and whatever sustainability that it's maintaining as part of the earth structure, it's still happening because we're here. We didn't leave, we just moved it. So that's my take on it. Brandon, do you have a thought on it?
I think for me, how you're using the gems is what's most important. Because like I said, even though we mine it up out of the earth's soil, it's still within the etheric field of the earth. So it's still within Earth's aura. And it's still providing the energy to the crystal grid that it's in, that it's been placed in. I think is when we start getting into the misuse of the of those gems, and even taking them from the earth in terms of how we're over mining. So I think it is absolutely necessary, because again, these are tools that we need. So if we never mined the quartz crystal, we wouldn't have the cell phone, we wouldn't have the TVs, we wouldn't have the radios. So I think how we utilize those resources that we take from the earth is important, because some of those things are needed. You know, the gold is needed, copper is needed, but how much do we need it, or how much are we overusing it? Those are some of the things that I think about.
Love it. Love it.
Great. Yeah, and then we had Gina, who said that she can relate. Once she started buying crystals, she kept buying them. And purchasing them, hold it in your receiving hand and feel the energy. Be sure to clear and clean before use. And then we have Jem, who said, I used to keep crystals in my water bottles and the jugs that I watered my plants with.
Yeah, that they're very good for plants. I do keep a piece of selenite right next to my plants. Actually, it was a selenite bowl that I had that I really loved, that my husband accidentally dropped and broke into pieces. But for me, that there are different thoughts, there are different schools of thought around a broken crystal. For me, it depends on how it feels after it's broke, or maybe I leave it apart from, I leave it alone for a while and then come back to it. And sometimes if it's broken, I still feel energy from it, I will use it. But if it's not, I'll just bury it in the ground and let it re-energize and do whatever it needs to do to the ground. But crystals near your plants are very helpful and supportive for them to grow as well. Real quick, I wanted to share a story about the other way, something that happened to me recently. I had a pain in my back from a move I was doing when I was exercising. And then I went to go back and do the exercise again. It's actually a sit-up. And my back started to tighten again in the middle of the sit-up. And but before I started the exercise, I got inspired to I was tired to put out this crystal, which is pineapple aragonite, right? It's a tower. So once I was doing the exercise and I felt the pain, I got inspired to just grab the stone. So I grabbed it and I held it, and like within a minute or less, that pain in my back disappeared. Totally disappeared. This is my first time that it happened so stark and so distinct. So I went on about my business and kept doing my exercise. At the end, I pick up my crystal and go to put it away, and it's in two. It didn't break while I was holding it, but it broke in half during the process of processing that intense pain that I was experiencing. So just to show you that crystals are very supportive, and they will take your energy and they will transform it. And then sometimes they sacrifice their life. Although to me, this one still has some energy, so I still keep it. I love it. I love how it feels, and it still feels good to me, but it's no longer going to be the way it is. So I just use it Probably will put it in my plants.
Hey, Coach
So,
Cheryl,
yeah.
one of the things I even learned around broken crystals is that they're seeds. So when you talked about, when you said that you buried the selenite, I was in Bermuda last month. My parents live there, and I have a selenite bracelet, and I don't know what happened. It might have gotten wet. It's possible. Like I just really wasn't paying attention. I woke up one morning and I found like one of the beads from the selenite bracelet actually split in half. And it was just sitting there, like one was on one side of the mouse pad, the other was on the other side. So I was like, and I think we were doing like the full moon meditation around, it was a full moon around that time. I was like, perfect. I went outside on one side of the house where it's like my parents' bedroom, because they've had this is a series of health challenges and things like that. I buried one half of the selenite rod seed, and then at the entrance of the house, I buried the other half, and I instructed the selenite and the beings of selenite. Because here's the thing about crystals is that they're not just the stones; they're angelic beings and celestial beings connected to the stones. So I then asked for the beings of selenite to continue to work in terms of protecting my parents' house, working to manifest the healing energy, and all that's good for my parents and for my household in general. And so sometimes when we have crystals that break, one school of thought is that you can use them as the seeds, and as they go back into the earth, they're now going to be regenerated, recharged with that earth energy. Then another school of thought is that when using the crystals, when they break, it's because the energy is so strong within it. So if you found that that's happened, sometimes you can utilize like salt. Just get a small basin of salt, put the crystal in the salt, and what will happen is that the salt will actually begin to extract out that negative energy from the crystal, so the crystal doesn't have to hold it. But we're going to talk about that. Actually, I think that's a good place for us to do that segue. But let's do a time check. I see we're at 7:57. Certainly, thank you for those who've been with us so far. If you got to go, I promise you, go back and watch the replay, watch the rest of it, because you're not going to want to miss any information that we're going to give. I'm not saying that we're going to do a part 4 of this, but I don't know, how things happen, so who knows? But this is definitely great information. So again, thank you all. Our contact information, it'll be in the chat. And let's move on to, I want to go, admin, can we go to the slide about cleaning, and charging your crystals? Because even as we use these as tools for transformation, and we're talking about the crystals, there's a way in which we're also talking about ourselves. So we want to be able to like clean our crystals, clear the crystals, charge the crystals. But then this is also, it reflects to our own personal energy. So we want to be able to know how to clean our energy, because that's what the tools are for. They're to clean our own energy, to clear our energy, and to charge us up, and with the different intentions, with the different energetic vibrations of the stones. So some of you have asked the question, how do you clear your crystals? How do you charge your crystals, cleanse them? Really quickly, why clearing them or charging them is important. We talked about it earlier. Is, let's say if the crystal is being mined and the miner is not having a great day, the minute that they grab that crystal, what happens is called psychic impregnation or psychic impression to the crystal, or imprinting. And so the energy, it transfers from the person to the crystal, because it's in the aura of the person. In the world of palmistry, the pads on the thumbs, if you rub them on a surface, it allows you to tune into the energy a lot deeper, or a lot more intently. And sometimes you can feel that energy. There's some sort of maybe there was tension in the person who was mining the crystals, or maybe the shop owner had a bad day, financially. And here's another thing. Let's say if you buy crystals from a person or a store that financially is not honest, or they don't have integrity, or let's say just financially they're not doing well. You know, you go to and there's no judgment, but they're just, maybe they're not responsible with their money or whatever the case is. All of that energy is being placed onto the crystals. And so when you bring the crystals into your home, you're not just bringing the stone into your home, you're bringing the energy that's with the stone to your home. And so clearing, that's very important. That's the main reason why you want to be able to clear and cleanse your crystals, is because all of that energy that they've picked up from the time they were taken out of the earth up till they reach your home, you know, wherever it is that you are, they've picked up energy. People have touched them, and then not even people touching them. Let's talk about the transportation. If they're being sent via mail, and within that same mail truck, there are people who send hatred letters, you know, people who send divorce notifications, and within that energy of the divorce is a lot of hatred and anger. So all of that energy is being like compounded onto the crystals. So that's why it's always important to take care of your crystals, but also not taking care of your crystals, because the crystals, is, remember, it's a reflection of us. So we want to make sure that the way that we treat our crystals is the same way we treat ourselves. I know people who take excellent care of their crystals, don't let nobody touch their crystals, but you let anybody talk to you in any old kind of way, you know, or you allow people to walk over you. So sometimes we hold our crystals in higher regard than we hold ourselves. And so what this session is designed really to encourage us, and thankfully, hopefully none of us are in that category. You can just share this information, that we want to be able to raise our vibration, so that way we care for ourselves, or we can help ourselves to transform just as much as we put the energy into caring for, say, our crystals, our jewelry, our Jordans, you know, whatever the things are that are out there that we use. We want to be able to make sure that we raise our vibration up to that level, so that we're able to, you know, care for ourselves. Sorry for that little tangent. I just had to get that off my chest. Yes, absolutely. The same can be said for our hair. Had a good friend of mine. She started her locks maybe about 2 years ago, something like that. And one day I saw her and the locks were gone. And I was like, what happened? She's like, I couldn't do it no more. I felt like my hair felt heavy, and they were shorter than mine. And not even going into conversation, I said, you felt like you've been carrying other people's weight? She said, yeah. I said, a lot of people been touching your hair? She said, I never thought about that. So what happens when people touch our hair, that energy rubs off. Like, I've had friends who say, hey man, let me retwist your locks. Hell no. Like, no. I've been going to like 1 or 2 people for the last 4 years, and hopefully they'll stay in business. So that way I ain't gotta go to nobody else, because there's different energies. The one time I did let someone else retwist my hair, I ended up losing a lock. Like, to this day, I don't know where it fell out, how it fell out, when it fell out. I just know I lost one, and I was like, never again. So that's just the energy that's on the crystal. So now let's say someone gifts you a crystal. You know, you got a friend. I've done it a couple of times where I've gifted a crystal to someone, and that person has their own programming into the crystal. You know, they say, I want to use the energy of this crystal for my highest good. This is me as Brandon. But now I take this crystal and I give it to Coach Sheryl. The programming in this crystal is designed to work for Brandon's highest good, not Cheryl's highest good. So Coach Sheryl is going to be sitting there wondering, you know, I'm meditating with the crystal, I'm holding it in all these different positions, laying it on me and all this stuff, but the crystal's not doing nothing. It just feels like a rock, because the consciousness of the crystal has been programmed to work for Brandon, not for Sheryl. Remember, crystals have consciousness. They don't have a willpower. They don't discriminate between who is holding it or what, but they do know the energy. They do know the differentiation of the energy. So they'll know, hey, Brandon isn't holding me. Okay, so now we just become a rock. Now, I may be able to give this stone to Coach Sheryl, and I can still tune into the stone and get the energy from it. I just traveled last month. Coach Sheryl, you remember that selenite knife that I had?
Yes, yes.
TSA took it.
What?
Oh, TSA took it. I was madder than you know what. I was so mad. I was sitting there talking to the selenite like it was my child. I was like, okay, listen, here's what's gonna happen. I want to go on to Bermuda, but unfortunately, you can't make it with me. So I'm like, no, don't leave me, please, don't leave me. So what ended up happening was that I asked the guy, can I break my crystal? He was like, huh? I said, can I break the crystal? I was like, to be honest with you, I don't trust none of y'all in here. And I think one of y'all is going to take my knife home. And I don't want that energy to follow you home, because y'all don't have the appreciation for spiritual tools. The guy wouldn't let me break it. And so I was like, well, whatever happens, happens. And as I was walking off, I heard the selenite whisper, don't worry, Dad, I'm going to get him. And like I've traveled through the airport several times with my crystals, even that particular one. But, you know, that particular day, TSA was like, yeah, it looks like a knife. You can't take it. So I was like, all right, no problem. Wow. I released it, and I told the selenite, hey, when I'm in Bermuda, I was planning on using you. I'm still going to use you. Just know I'll use you from a distance. So I would tune into my selenite knife, did the work I needed to do. And then when I came back through TSA, back into New York, I was going through the airport and I was like, this is the place. They stole my knife. And the selenite said, don't worry, Dad, we good. I fell off a table. I was like, oh, it's all good. So clearing the crystals, we want to be able to release it from any past or previous psychic programming or and even that word psychic, it gets some spooky connotations, mental programming, emotional programming, whatever it is. That's the reason why we clear our crystals. Well, what are the ways in which you can do it? It's a few ways. I've listed 6 on here. There's a few other that I'm gonna add. So salt water is not good for all crystals. Let me preface it by that. So not all of you have to do your research to find out what method is best for the crystal that you're cleaning at the time. So for example, selenite, you don't wet selenite at all. Just never think about putting selenite in water. But you know something else about selenite is that you shouldn't smudge it with like incense or sage and things like that, because selenite is a very porous crystal. And so what happens is that as the smoke is going up, what color is smoke? Black. As the smoke is going to this porous crystal, the color or the carbon from the smoke is now discoloring your crystal, or it can cause the crystal to change its color. So again, what your particular stones, some like for example, lapis lazuli is not good for water. What else is there?
There's a lot.
Yeah, the quartz, actually, well, any quartz stone is good for water. It can be soaked in water, salt water. So that's clear quartz, your amethyst, your smoky quartz, rose quartz, citrine, aventurine, agate, tiger's eye, jasper. Those stones can be put into water. Stones that they recommend that you shouldn't put in water are stones like black tourmaline, selenite, pyrite,
fluorite.
Yep. I found out that malachite actually turns it turns the water toxic if you put malachite in water. That's one of the things. What are some of the other ones? They recommend moonstone, calcite, opal, that they shouldn't be submerged in water for a long period of time. But again, doing your research, and the reason is, for example, selenite is basically if you put it in water, it's going to dissolve and turn into concrete. So one of the other thing about selenite is that in the pyramids, in the pyramids, you would discover that they use gypsum to build the pyramids. And so on the inside of the pyramids, if you ever look at, you notice that there's like a shiny luster or a bit of a glimmer on the walls. That's because of the gemstone selenite that's in the walls. And all of us actually have it in our house. That's what they make dry sheetrock, drywall, and all those things. It's really gypsum. So salt water, or I saw a question, can you just, is it okay to have the crystal sitting on dry salt? I think I saw that. Yeah. Yeah. You can do that, but I would recommend to see whether the stone can handle that, because sometimes salt can be corrosive. So if your stone has, like, for example, copper in it, I wouldn't recommend it. So doing that research is very critical, because you don't want to damage your stones. Then you can use other stones. For example, I have a amethyst geode. This is like one of my charging stations. It stays over here on one of my desks. When I'm not using my selenite as a charging station, I use this. I could rest crystals on this. I'll lean it against it. I'll put them in front of it, beside it, on top of it. And that's like a cleansing. And I'll program my amethyst to say, hey, listen, I'm gonna have you hang out with some of our buddies. I need you to help clean them up. You know, these guys, I've been working them rough, you know, just clean them up for me. And he'll say, okay, boss, we got it. And that's what my amethyst would do. Sometimes I use my selenite. Selenite and kyanite are the two stones that actually don't hold negative energy. So what happens with these two particular stones, when energy comes into it, it automatically transmutes it to a higher vibration. And so with selenite, I have selenite plates. Yeah, here we are. So I've got a selenite plate that I've got a bunch of like tumbled stones here. And sometimes I just rest them on my plate. I'll put them in the window, let it charge up, especially now that we're doing the, and we can put down this slide really quickly. So with this plate, I have just some tumble stones here. Like I think I've got a smoky quartz here. I've got a rose quartz. I've got a jasper. I've got bits and pieces all over. I literally just put it on top of my plate, let it charge up. Full moon is happening tomorrow. Today? One of those two. I'll put when it comes time for full moon, I put all my crystals in the windows. At night, let them charge up. In the living room, my room, like there's literally crystals in every single windowsill that I can think about. When I was in Bermuda, I would sit outside all night because the weather was decent. I would sit outside and do with the meditation and allow the crystals just to sit in the grass. So sometimes they make that connection to the earth. And then while I'm doing that, I'm setting the intention that the energy of the full moon, or that the energy of the earth, it's absorbing, it's extracting any negative, any unwanted or congested energy, and cleansing the crystal. You know, that's just one part of it. Then I want to program it, whether it's to activate the love aspect, the creative will aspect in me, or creative intelligence, whatever the aspect that I want to utilize the crystal for. I'm also setting that intention so that it'll activate. Remember, crystals are amplifiers. So whatever thought I put to the crystal, it's going to amplify the thought. Okay, so I just helped some of y'all don't even know it. Let me put it in reverse, back up real quick. So if you got a lot of crystals in your home and someone comes around angry, then you know that this person is always angry. Do you think your crystals are going to help them feel better, or is it going to magnify that anger? Remember, crystals, yeah, crystals don't discriminate. It sees energy and says, all right, let's make it bigger. So what crystals, in terms of how crystals help you to transform, is they will keep you in check about your own stuff. And then nobody else is gonna have to put you in check about your stuff. If you realize, I've got a little bit of anger, but now I got all these clear quartz, especially if I got generators and different types of crystals, and now it's amplifying these feelings. At some point you're gonna say, you know what, Brandon, it ain't everybody else. I need to check. Yeah, exactly. And so they give us this perspective where we're able to look internally, to be able to look at, okay, what are the areas that I need to transform? Especially, so if there's anger, then you could say, okay, well, what stones can I use to help me through this? Like your rose quartz, rhodochrosite, rhodonite, all these stones are good for emotional healing. And so when we're looking at how we can transform different ways emotionally, we can use those stones, whether we're sitting them and holding them in meditation. Maybe you lay them on, you can look up different grids, what they call crystal grids, where you can either lay the crystals around you, lay the crystals on you. My teacher, he was like, Brandon, if you got the space under your bed, bro, if you got a big piece of selenite or something, put it underneath your bed along the lines. And this is especially for people who may have back issues, is that you can, where like the middle of your bed would be, or where you would sleep, you can put the crystal under there, and the energy, especially of selenite, it deals with structural support or skeletal support. And so you can use that to help with skeletal issues or back issues, things like that. So those are some of the different ways in which we're able to utilize the crystals. If we could bring back up the slide real quick, we're gonna be done. We're gonna make it through this in 15 minutes. We're gonna make it through. No, let's go back. Almost. Yep, there we are. So other stones, or what we can use in terms of cleaning our crystals, we can use sound. So Coach Sheryl, she talked about chanting Om over the crystals. What Om is, the sound of the universe. So for those of you who have, you've heard that scripture that says, in the beginning was the word, and the word was God, and the word was with God. I think it's John chapter 1. Where that talks about in the beginning was the word, on the more higher esoteric teachings, that's Om, the sound of the universe, the sound of creation. And so what Om, when chanting Om to your crystals, or even chanting Om around your home, what it does is it breaks up negative energy. Also clapping. So, and also you want to be able to form the intention. I'm clapping with light, or I'm clapping with love. I'm clapping with healing energy. I'm clapping with the intention of dispersing negative energy. The sound bowls. So whether it's the Tibetan sound bowls, the metal ones, the crystal sound bowls, the triangles, the I forget those things, like
tuning fork.
Yep, the tuning forks. So there's a number of different things that you can use: harps, pianos, stringed instruments, because it's really about the vibration than it is about the instrument. And that also talks about the crystals. It's not about the particular crystals, but it's about the vibration and also the intention that we're using with the crystals. Sunlight. The only thing I would say about sunlight is be mindful of crystals that are colored.
Like amethyst.
Yeah, your amethyst, your rose quartz, your green aventurine and things like that, because the sun can cause a discoloration in the crystal. And then with with clear quartz, it's like the sun going through a magnifying glass. So you want to be mindful of not having that near surfaces that could be flammable. So whether that's wooden surfaces, on carpet, your bed, near the curtains, because last thing you want to do is be in meditation, be like, what's that? Meditation is deep today. We're getting hot. You open your eyes, it's fire all around you because your clear quartz. So that's really that. Moonlight
glass, right? How the Boy Scouts start the fire, right? With the magnifying glass and the rock and the flint, and it's the same impact with the clear quartz. It can start a fire.
Absolutely. And then the stones actually get very hot while they're sitting while they're sitting in the sun. So even if you go to pick it up, if you hold it for too long, it may not give you a serious burn, but you're gonna know that it's hot. Definitely will know that it's hot. And then in terms of charging your crystals, because crystals have consciousness but not a willpower, you can give instructions to crystals. There are different people, different schools of thought. Some will say that you tell the crystal what to do. I always ask the crystal to help me, whether it's help me to in the healing work that I'm doing, helping in the manifestation work, help me in decision making, give me clarity of thought, whether I'm using my amethyst or things like that. So those are the things in terms of like the verbal instructions. It always, for me, and again, this is for me, it comes to the crystal from me in the form of a question. I know what the properties of the crystals are. I know that the crystal can amplify depending on which crystal I'm using, but I want to make sure that I'm clear with the crystal. This is what I want you to help me to do. I want you to amplify this. Because if I just say amplify my energy, that's all my energies. And if I ain't having a good day, then everybody ain't gonna have a good day. I promise you, I'm bringing somebody down with me. That's just that. Prayer. Prayer is very important because the crystals, they are really they're extensions of the universal source, of the God aspect of the universe. And so asking your spirit guides, the higher beings, especially the ones that engage with crystals or that work with crystals, Archangel Haniel, Haniel, is one of the archangels that's responsible for selenite. For selenite. And so sometimes not doing the research to know what angelic beings or what devas are connected to the crystals that you're using, being able to acknowledge them in a form of prayer or acknowledge them in an invocation of sorts allows you to have assistance from those higher beings while working with the crystals. Now, sometimes folks will say, I ain't messing with no beings that I don't know nothing about. Okay, that's your prerogative. Go on and, continue to work how you work. But there are also other options. So try it out, and if you realize, hey, this is too deep for me, or this it just feels weird for me, I'm good. Then, do what feels most comfortable for you. But whoever it is that you do pray to, you want to ask that they would help to activate or to help to build that connection with you and the crystal, so that way the crystal and you are in harmony, working together, things like that. The full moon, what happens at the full moon is that there's a tremendous amount of spiritual energy that comes down to the earth. The three most powerful ones we have are the full moon of Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. So those are the one in, I believe it's Taurus, the Wesak, is considered to be the most powerful one, where the Lord Buddha comes down for a few moments and he blesses the earth. And so what happens, all the crystals, all those things, they're all candidates, I guess that's a good word I could use, for receiving this tremendous amount of energy. And the crystals hold the energy a lot longer than we can. Because, we can come in, have meditation, finish our meditation, and go down the hallway, get into an argument with our spouse, or if our, a sibling, a friend, or something like that. Or you get a text message while you're in meditation and look at it and it throw your whole vibe off. So the crystals, they don't have those distractions. So sometimes utilizing the crystals as energetic storehouses is important. Admins, do we have any questions that's coming in from the chat? We got 6 minutes, and I think we're good for it.
Okay, cool. I'll take this down. And it looks like we have a question from Z. Is there something I can do with crystals to help my shoulder and my knees?
Okay. Whether that's a broad question, in terms of what kind of help that you're looking to do. One of the things I would say, I mean, selenite for me is a go-to because it deals with muscular and skeletal support. But again, it would depend on what it is exactly that you're looking for in terms of help, because sometimes okay, sometimes with different conditions, especially like the joints, let me talk about the knees. With the knees, that could represent on one level, it could be a physical condition, but then on another level, it could represent an area in life where something happened and we felt like we couldn't move forward. And so then if we don't deal with that particular area, so now we're talking about some kind of emotional something or maybe a mental something. So now we're looking at what are some of the stones that help with the emotions or that help with mental clarity. So I would on top of the selenite, I would probably recommend like a rhodochrosite that deals with healing emotional wounds. If it's mental, maybe amethyst for clear thinking. Let's see, we got. I saw it. Okay. Dislocated shoulder and falling on knees. So reach out to Coach Sheryl and I, and we can actually give you more in depth. But those right there, selenite, I would recommend right away because of the muscular and skeletal support.
I use pyrite ball. I have a beautiful orb that's pyrite. It's at least as big as this. And I rolled that on my knees because I have bone-on-bone arthritis. And from time to time, I'll just roll it on my knees. And it's just so soothing in the feeling of it in the moment. But then also I feel more range of motion and less pain and stiffness. So that's something that is very helpful too. But again, as anything, you have to work out what, like Coach Brandon said, you have to work out what emotionally is there for you, what's mentally there for you, because our body is constantly giving us information, not just giving you pain just because you should have pain or because you did something, but it's giving you information. So what you need to do is cipher that information and utilize it. And there's a wonderful book called You Can Heal Your Body by Louise Hay, right? And that's a great book to tell you where it's emotionally and mentally starting with regards to the pains in your body. A couple of other books I wanted to recommend because Brandon and I know a lot about the stones because of experience, but also because of reading specific books, right? So one of the main books I like to use, especially as a starter, is the Crystal Bible. And the name of the author is Judy Hall. And she has at least version 1, version 2, and version 3. And so they're each going to tell you different stones. And in the book, it's going to tell you what stones are good for specific body parts as well. It's going to tell you what stones are good for your what specific chakras. It's going to tell you what stones are good for your zodiac. It's going to tell you a little bit of everything. It's going to tell you where the stones generally are sourced from, and particularly what country. So it's a really great source of information. This is a book that I got secondhand that I just love, Gems of the World. This is more telling you more about the science and like the shapes. It's just, I can't even just tell you how much resource information this is. But one of the main things I love about it is it has a globe of the world that tells you where stones are sourced, where they generally are only found. Like he said, Tanzanite is only found in Tanzania, Africa. So, and Moldavite is found in a specific place, opal in Turkey. These are different places that you need to know that this is where this comes from. So somebody says to you, oh yeah, this opal is from the mine in Arizona. You're like, you don't know what you're talking about. Let me keep it moving. You know, you get the knowledge. Another great book is called The Book of Stones. I have across here, but I can't see the author.
Is that the one by Robert Simmons?
Yes, Robert Simmons and the other person. So those are some really good resources to give you information about how to, know what stone does what, and where it comes from, what zodiac is good for, what chakra. And also sometimes some of them you'll have like even information about what stones work well with other stones. So you know how to grid. So you know how to, when we say grid, we're talking about creating a circle, a triangle, or whatever of a formation of stones with a particular intention, and that you program them to do that particular intention. So, there's a world of resources and information for you. You can even get one of these. I got this on Amazon. It's just kind of like a, sorry about the coming and going because of my beautiful background, but it's just a, where did it go? There it is. It's just a guideline for gemstones and crystals, like a quick resource to tell you, and it's like laminated and 4 or 5 pages to tell you what stones. One of the ways you know what stones are good in water or not good in salt, you can heal your life, is Louise Hay. And I think that they dropped it in the chat for me. One of the ways that you know whether your stones are good in salt or water or different ways is because of the hardness of the stone. And these books and even this chart will tell you the hardness of the stone. If it's a soft stone like selenite, it's absolutely not good for water. Pink halite, which is a stone, one of my favorites, is very beautiful. It will dissolve instantly in water and become just a bowl of a thing of salt. So you spend good money for these crystals, you got to know how to use them, how to take care of them, and how to program them to support you. So these are some tools to help you. And reach out to us. Reach out to us. We're here for you.
Absolutely.
All right. So do we want to take any more questions?
Yeah, I could run through real quick. I saw Helen had asked what was suggested way to clean tiger's eye. Tiger's eye is actually one of the crystals that can go in water, so you can clean that with like salt water solution. Just whether you use pink Himalayan salt, regular table salt, it doesn't really matter. You can put salt in water. If you have essential oils, you could add like a drop of lavender or tea tree, sage, sandalwood. Yep. So you've got a number of different things that you could use with that, or you could also smudge with incense, like sandalwood incense, lavender incense, Palo Santo, sage. With sage, I would be mindful when I'm using sage in terms of smudging, because it clears everything. So I use, like, if I burn sage, I'll burn it with like copal, I'll burn it with frankincense or something like that. So that way it doesn't exactly strip away everything. And Teresa had put in,
Yep.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying Teresa as well. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the best way I want to answer Teresa, she says, I've had an aversion to crystals. The sound of them touching or clicking isn't soothing. I bypass the halls of gem in the museums or other stores. I'm experiencing a similar uneasiness or overwhelm, parts 1 through 3. Is it possible that crystals aren't my tool, or I just can't hear the voice of my stone for transformation? So here's the thing. Using crystals is not mandatory. Not everyone resonates with crystals. There was a period where you couldn't pay me to touch crystals. You couldn't pay me to deal with numerology, astrology. I know it sounds as strange as that sounds. Like I was this guy. When I walked past the numerologists and astrologers and people claim to be psychics and all that, I would start praying, Lord, don't let their spirit touch my spirit. You know, I was there. I think it comes with development, but then there are some aspects when I got into crystals, there were some aspects of crystals that I don't deal with. So like even though I own pendulums, I don't use them that often. Then there are, so I think it's not necessarily that you have to use crystals as a tool of transformation. You find the tools that work best for you to help you to transform. But for some people, they need that, they may, well, not that they need, they may resonate with crystals. For another person, they may experience their transformation through, say like the tarot cards, or they may experience transformation through meditation. They may experience through learning, through studying. So different, there's literally 1,001 methods to transform. We just wanted to talk about crystals for today. So it's not a bad thing per se. Now, if you do want to get or want to get into it, you know, reach out to one of us and we can have a conversation about what it is that's causing that uneasiness, to see what are the ways that we could possibly work through it if that's something that you wish to do.
Thank you for that. I concur, and I feel that just as anything else in life, you have to find your tool that works for you. And when you're supposed to work and when you're supposed to move to something else, you'll know, and you'll be attracted to it. Your spirit knows what you need. Your body knows what you need. The mind sometimes just don't listen. So you have to listen to your intuition. If right now your intuition is saying 0 crystals, no crystals, I don't want them, I don't like them, they rub me the wrong way, use essential oils, use meditation, prayer, use different things, use other tools, just as Brother Brandon said. And even within using the crystals, this is something I wanted to say. The crystals have specific gifts that they each can impart, like amethyst is the stone of healing. This is Euperlite is the stone of truth. They all have different particular. Rose quartz is the heart stone. The heart chakra opens up the heart. But how you are to use it and what it works, what is to do for you, is based upon what you need and what you hear when you touch that stone. So I looked up this was a pineapple aragonite, like I said, and I looked up the properties afterwards, and I was like, that's not what this stone does, is like removing physical pain, but it was right in alignment with what I guess what I was dealing with emotionally. And so sometimes it's about how you're using it. It's about what works for you. It's very personal and personalized, and trust and believe that there's no panacea that's for everyone, that works the same way for every individual person. There's no oil that does that. There's no crystal that does that. There's no medicine that does that, nothing. So you have to find what works for you and how it's to work for you. When I first came into crystals in the 80s, I was suggested to use, the first 3 I used was clear quartz, rose quartz, and amethyst. And the rose quartz was suggested, what I understood it was the love stone. And I was like, I'm a very loving person as it is. But what it did for me is it helps me become more in touch with my femininity at another level. And so that was just transformative for me. It just really activated that in me at another level. And I was very young, so I needed it. It was perfect. I didn't necessarily need the love part, but I needed the femininity part. So what you need and how it's going to work for you is between you and your creator. And that's why I say with prayer, and ask it to be used for your highest and greatest good, because it's a personal relationship. It's an interpersonal relationship.
Absolutely. So fam, we are at 8:38. If possible, can we have 10 more minutes? I just want to go over the last bit of information on these last 2 slides.
There's one more too. There's one hand up as well.
Oh yes, and Adam.
No, I don't think they get mad if you don't use them. Somebody asked, do the crystals get mad if you don't use them? No, they just wait patiently.
Yeah.
Or if another thing, people say, well, oh, this crystal broke or that. Sometimes it's that you're done using them. It's time to move on to a different one, or that you haven't cleansed it enough. You haven't cleansed it, or it's got your energy as well as somebody else's energy, and somebody else, as the way Brandon talked about it. So it will break. So yeah, you can cleanse it, charge it, and set it up again. And then if it still breaks, or if it doesn't work for you, then move on and bury it and try another stone.
Yeah. With crystals that break, there is that's the importance of cleaning your crystals, especially if you work with them a lot. So like some of my healing crystals, like doing sessions with client works, I clean them every day. Even if I don't work with someone, it's just a practice to be able to clean it, clean it every day. Then there's some crystals that, I clean once a year because I don't really touch them. They just kind of sit there. When I'm in meditation, I may look in their direction, but just in terms of like actually touching them and picking up the energy around it, physically, I don't really use them as much. So I don't physically clean them as often. But in my meditation, if I'm chanting Om in my room, all of my crystals are being cleaned.
I should.
Yeah. So admins, if we can go ahead to get ready to bring up those last two slides. And Adam, I saw he had his hand raised.
Okay. Good morning, Brennan, and good morning, Coach Sheryl.
Morning.
Thank you for this wonderful presentation on the crystals. The one question that I want to ask is, what crystals would you recommend if you want to put it into your water bottle and drink the water inside of that water bottle? I don't think you have touched that before.
Yeah. So crystal water is it's very good just in terms of different properties. I've used shungite, I've used rose quartz, I've used amethyst. What, Coach Sheryl, what are some others? I'm trying to think.
Those are the main that I was going to say as well. I do a lot of drinking crystal water. But yeah, those are the three, if any, I have used. That is especially great for purifying water. So if you don't have, if your water isn't purified, you can just drop some, of course you clean it and make sure that it's, you can sterilize it and make sure that it's clean and by using it in putting it in hot water for a while. Let it sit in hot water for like, 2-3 minutes and make sure that it's really clean. And then you put it in your water. So you don't want to just take a crystal you got from the store and go, oh, I'm going to just drop it in this water and drink it. No, there's a whole process. And in any of those books that I talked about is going to also break that down for you as well. So definitely follow the guidelines. And they'll also make suggestions as to other stones that you can use to drink. All stones cannot be used to drink. And all stones, for those of you who know about yoni eggs, all stones are not to go in the yoni, okay? Please, because some of them are toxic. Some of them are made of, they're interacting with, say, asbestos and something that like that to create the stone that it is. So definitely make sure that you know about what makes the stone and if it's appropriate and if it's even too porous, you don't want to put it in the yoni. So yeah, there's a lot of things to know about. Don't just grab a stone off the shelf or that you have or that you've had and just start using it in a different way without doing the research.
Absolutely. So admins, if we could throw up that quick slide. So I'm not going to go through all of this information. There are certain zodiac signs that naturally have crystals that resonate with them. And then there are also birth numbers. So really quickly, if you were born on, say, the 1st to 10th, the 19th or 28th of any month, you're considered a 1. And these will be your stones on that first line. If you're considered a 2 person, born on the 2nd, 11th, 20th, or 29th of any month, these will be your stones. Again, with the 3, the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way down to the 9. Each number has specific stones that just naturally resonate with you. And so you can feel free to screenshot this. If you want to know more about what are the numbers that are associated to, crystals associated to your numbers, feel free to reach out to me after our session and we can set up some time to talk. So let's go to the next slide, please. And then for your zodiac sign, each zodiac sign also has crystals. So we're not just our zodiac sign and we're not just our birth number. So even in astrology, we're not just our sun sign. We're a combination of the sun, our rising, our moon, and then all of the other planets. And so with zodiacs and crystals, you can be as creative as you would like. So let's say you know what your sun, moon, and rising are, and you want to create a custom piece, jewelry piece. You can, let's say, for example, I'm a Libra sun, I'm a Scorpio rising, and Aquarius moon. I could go through each of these different crystals for Libra. I've got opal. Actually, I've got all of these now that I think about it, except for malachite. Okay, fine. That's the next thing I'll get is some malachite. So I might want to go out and grab me a piece of malachite. some let's see, kunzite and aquamarine, and I could make a piece for that. And what that piece is represents my sun, my moon, and my rising. So the energies of these stones, they provide this interesting synchronicity with my energies that have been aligned in terms of like the stars and things like that. So again, you can screenshot this information here. If you want to know more about what stones to go with your astrological chart, your birth numbers, feel free to reach out and we can talk about that to see what stones would just naturally resonate best for you. And I think we are done. Edmonds, is that it? Is that the last slide?
Yes, it is.
Boom! Wow, look at that.
Great time. All right. Tell us what the special offer is for the community this morning.
So our special offer, Coach Sheryl, as you know, is amazing when it comes down to essential oils. If you have not gotten number one in the essential oil from Coach Sheryl, you better get your email, like your computer and stuff ready to send that email. If not, you need to reach out to Coach Sheryl because she's just phenomenal with essential oils. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a customized package for you. You'll have essential oils and crystals. So Coach Sheryl, can you explain a little bit more about the?
Yes. Oh, I should have had one here to show you, but I created I didn't bring one out. Anyway, I have, wait. Can I share my picture? No. Yeah. No worries. I have created these amazing roller bottles that have gemstones in them, and it would be gemstones and essential oils to your particular birth signs. And so that's what you will receive from my end. And then Reverend B is going to give you a particular stone, even an additional stone, and that is based upon your personal number. So this is a powerful 1-2 punch that you're going to be getting. So we're looking for the first 2 people to email me at yourblisszone@gmail.com, and you will receive. So when you email me, also put your birth sign.
Yes, the sun, moon, and rising, if you know it. And if you don't know it and you know the time that you were born, you can give us the time that you were born, location, and we can get that information in terms of your the main 3.
Absolutely.
Coach Sheryl, there was one question I did see in the chat. We didn't get a chance to answer it. Was about storing the crystals. I
like to store mine either by color or by chakra. So in other words, if you're if all your blue crystals can be together, or all your clear crystals can be together, and you want to put them into some place that's dark, like a velvet bag, or if they're in a bowl or something, you want to put them and have a cover over the bowl until they're ready to be used.
Yeah. Another thing I would say is for your crystals that you use regularly, if you can maybe wrap them in silk or have them resting on a piece of silk, what that'll do is that will prevent the crystal from absorbing any contamination energy-wise from the surface that it may be sitting on. And also, let's say if you're going to gift a crystal to someone, to prevent contamination, you may like sage it or whatever the case is, and then you want to wrap it in some silk, so that way when it's in the transporting process, it won't necessarily pick up that energy.
I like to give my crystals without having charged them to people, let them do all the work so that they can learn the process, but I will on occasion wrap them with some herbs in it so that it doesn't get too much extra from the transport process.
Absolutely, yeah. So here's my contact information if you want to reach out to me or Coach Sheryl. All this information is always the same.
Same. Your best place to get me is go to the link tree if you want to see all the things that I offer, or if you want to offer just a donation, or you want to get a consultation, any of that. The link tree is the best place. But follow me on Instagram and like my page on Facebook, please.
love offerings and donations. So if this session, we've been doing really great research and it was extensive. It was fun talking about it. Yeah, it was. So if you were impacted, if you were inspired, encouraged in some kind of way, or even, this has sparked something in you and you want to be able to show your appreciation in a tangible way, let's go ahead and head over to Zelle. You've got SOW Leadership Development at Gmail. If you want to pay via Cash App, you've got cash tag Spirit of a Woman, and use the code see, I want to say pound, but then it could be a hashtag depending on the generation I'm talking to. The 628, which adds up to the number 7, to the 7, 16, which is a 7. Yeah. Spiritual energy happening today, a lot of spiritual energy. And you want to use the code SLGBS. So that will send those donations to Coach Sheryl and myself. And
take a rain.
Yes, all of it. So thank you again for your time this morning. We hope that something that was said here was enlightening and inspiring to you. And until the next time, peace.
All right. Thank you so much for an amazing and informative session. Got a lot of notes. It seems like so many rules, but we're going to get these crystals together. So like Brandon said, if you want to show your love in a tangible way, and like Coach Sheryl said, make it rain, you can make it rain once a month and not have to worry about it. Set it and forget it. So you could follow the bit.lys in the chat to make your monthly donations. I like to say paying your tithes, for all of this juiciness that we get and we receive. And so you could click on one that works for you and have it set for you on a monthly basis. And the show does not stop. Next up, we have Valencia Noel. She's joining us tomorrow, July 13th, and we're going to learn the importance of ensuring your income. Then we have our girl Martine Lisa Malivers, and she's bringing her daughter along. So she's going away to school, and they're going to go over some things in a mother-daughter relationships before she sends her away to college. So we are going to have a special guest. So mommy and daughter tings on Thursday. And we'd like to welcome all of our new Woo Nation members. Thank you so much for inviting your friends and family. Thank you so much for saying yes and joining us to a community where we come to learn, elevate, and ascend. Please, please come back, register again for next week or our next few sessions that are coming up. We want to see you back in the space with us. All right, and you can catch more Woo during the week. Zoom live workshops are Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 7 to 8:30. Sometimes we go a little over because it gets real, like we did today. And then we have Monday and Wednesdays, 7 a.m. to 7:30. And you can always catch us on Facebook as well if that's more convenient for you. And you can text Woo Nation to 7421 if you'd like to get those weekly updates on your phone for a text message. And where are you going without your Woo swag this summer? Grab your tote bag, your laptop case, and your journal with your water bottle and head to the park, head to the beach, wherever you're going, your favorite coffee shop, and just show up and show out in your Woo swag. Let everybody know what you're repping, the community that you're a part of. Get your swag. The link is in the chat. And again, as always, thank you, thank you, thank you. And please stay in touch. Come back. You can register at bit.ly/wakeupmovement. You can join us on Facebook. We have our private and our public pages. Then on Instagram, Wake Up Everybody Virtual. Our YouTube is loading and coming together so you can catch those playbacks. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, we welcome them at our email, info.wakeupseries@gmail.com. So now we are going to unmute everybody and allow a different kind of shower. We're going to give you all a love shower for all of this amazing information you dropped on us today. Thank you so much. Come on, everybody.
Thank you, Coach Sheryl, James Burton, for the
Thank
presentation on the
you for the
crystals.
great detailed
Thank you
information on the
for
crystals.
Wonderful.
Very informative, very
Very
entertaining.
good. Very good. Makes me look at my
Great
kids. Thank you
information,
very
though.
much.
Great to see you
Thank you
guys.
so
Have a great day,
much.
Move forward,
everyone.
everybody, and have a blessed day. And I love y'all.
God love you.
Creative and
Thank
powerful.
you.
That's all I
Everybody
want to tell y'all.
well.
I'm here for
Love
that.
y'all. Love.
All right, thank you,
Y'all
thank you,
were
thank you.
amazing.
Very
My lovely.
informative.
Have a good day.
Hey, yourself so you
Thank
can
Thank you,
y'all.
tell
Freddie,
Thank
for
y'all.
your
y'all,
time and
babies.
energy and your
Amazing. I
research.
love you. I love you. I love you. I love
Dropping
you.
the
I love it. I
wisdom
love
on
it.
us.
Forward, everybody.
Boom shakala. Boom shakala. Hey, hey, hey.
Peace and
So we're
love here.
amazing, family.
And blessings.
So glad to be part of the Wu family. To have such wonderful healers in this community. Thank y'all, healers. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
family. Love y'all.
Love you.
All my families, I love y'all. Love y'all.